Today we start our next five lecture materials. I share my screen with our distance course on the platform of Moodle. We could find lecture number five about transport system integration. And we have presentation of our lecture. I opened it now. Yes, and we could see this information. It is lecture number five, our discipline operational logistic management in supply chains. And we opened plan of our lecture on today. It is about transport system integration. We need to discuss today factors of market formation, transport logistics services, about transportation functions, about organizational principles of transportations, parties involved in transportation, and transport infrastructure. It is a big part of questions, but it is not very big questions for our discussion because it is one by one depend from each other, and we discussed something already in previous our lecture materials and something used today in this part of lecture. Okay. So, factors of market formation, transport, logistics services. What is it about? The conditions for the effective solution of problems of management of logistics service system in supply chain require an analysis of the factors of the external environment in relation to enterprises which provide logistics services. Of course, it is most significant to carry out this analysis by transport enterprises. If you could remember that in the 1990s, in the conditions of drastic change in the economy, which were accompanied by the depending of general crisis phenomenon in almost all industries, Ukrainian enterprises reduced production value or even suspended their works altogether, which led to a reduction in the flow of raw material and finished products. So yes, it was about different flow systems, and it was very difficult period in economy system for every part of manufacturing, for every services, for transport, of course, and for other wage of work. So, this led to a significant drop of freight volumes, and a continent didn't contribute to the development of logistics services. The development of logistics in Ukraine and the corresponding increase in the level of logistics services were hindered by the changing political and economic climate. As early as the early 1990s, fluctuating market conditions pushed companies to continuously increase profits, and this continues to this day. Such a race for profit-focused managers to focus their efforts mainly on cost reductions, saving by any means. For this reason, even today, logistics remains a relatively unsought source of productivity. When transporting goods from to the territory of Ukraine and from and to the territory of Ukraine, Ukrainian carriers remain competitive mainly due to the implementation of a business strategy of cost minimization. The possibility of implementing this strategy is associated with relatively low labor cost and the use of non-new rolling stock. And something else in this way of development. So, transportation functions. It is our as continuous. If you remember our first lecture, we discussed different types of about logistic systems, and we discuss about logistic functions and something else. And one of it is transportation functions. So transportation is a key function in the logistic chain, ensuring that products move throughout the various stage of production to final customer. Of course, we know about it and we discuss about it when say about material flow, about informational flow, and we look such systems from one by one each. Delivery delivery information goods or finance. The main goal of transportation is to get the product to its destination as quickly, cheaply, and with the least damage to the environment. It is also necessary to minimize losses and spoilage of transported goods. At the same time, you should fulfill the requirement of the customers regarding the timeless of delivery and the provision of information about goods in transit. The two main functions of transportation are the movement of goods, of course, yes, and their storage in the transport. So, cargo movement. The main function of transportation is to move goods along the value chain. Since the movement of goods customer time, money, and environment resource, it is important that this process is economically justified, that is, each market a real contribution to the creation of value. In transit, the products, in this case called inventory in transit, are enumerable for use. Inventory in transit is becoming increasingly important as various logistic strategies, such as just-in-time or turnkey strategies, are implemented to reduce manufacturing and warehouses inventory. So the main function, of course, we discussed it already, is really to depend which type of transport we use and which cargo movement we used for this period of time. It is our first transport function, and we discuss it later. That transportation also required financial resources. Transport cost includes the cost of drivers' wages and the operation of rolling stock, as well as same of the general and overhead cost. In addition, it is necessary to take into account the costs associated with damage or loss of transported goods. Of course, it is important, and first function of transportation is not very difficult to understand. And yes, we already know about it, but about second function, maybe you didn't think about it at all. Yes, please, could you could see it now? It is about cargo storage when we use transport, different type of transport for saving products in some time. You could think near 1 minute about it, and we continue with this information, please. Okay, let us continue. And cargo storage. So, the use of transport for temporary storage of goods is less typical, since vehicles represent rather expensive warehouse capacities. Yes, it is really so. And but in those cases when the transported cargo needs to be stored somewhere for a short time, for example, when we wait to change a type of transport to something else, and after a few days to be centrifuge, the cost of unloading and reloading in the warehouse can be exceed in the cost of interloading vehicles. So the use of vehicles for temporary storage of goods can also be a beneficiation in situations where storage capacity is limited, for example. So we could have a different situation when we couldn't use the warehouses, or we have a short period of time for saving, and it will be cheaper to leave these goods in the cargo, and because loading and unloading operations, it is have some period of time we need to spend on it, and we need to use some territory in warehouses, so maybe it is not really need. In addition, temporary storage of goods directly in vehicle is sometimes resorted to when it is necessary to change the road of a vehicle on the way. For example, so sometimes it is really needs and it is really cheaper, and we could use it for some periods of time for some delivery systems. So we could use transport for transportation and use as warehouses system. Organizational principles of transportation. There are two main principles of transportation organization and operational management of this type of activity. It is economy due to the scale of freight transportation and economy due to the distance of roads. So sometimes we really used it, and it is a good idea for using. Economy due to the scale of freight transportation is connected with the fact that the bigger the cargo, the lower the transport cost per unit of weight. For example, if the size of the shipment corresponds to the transit norm, that is the full use of the carrying capacity or the capacity of the car, container or semi-trailer, as the transport cost per unit of weight of the transported cargo will be less than in the case of a shipment that doesn't reach the transit norm. That is when the vehicle is partially loaded. More powerful modes of transport, rail and water, cost less per unit weight on the transported cargo, the less powerful mode of road and air transport. So yes, it is different types of transport we could use for delivery systems, and if we have a big part of goods, we need used rail transport or water transport. But if it is a little part of cargo, if we have, for example, some containers, it is not big part of it, we could use the car transport, for example, or if you need very fast delivery, if it is special types of goods or very rich luxury goods, we need to transport it by air transport. So we need to think about different systems, about different benefits of the systems, and to choose what is better for us. Economies due to the scale of freight transportation occur due to the fact that the constant components of transport cost is distributed over the entire lot, so that the larger it is, the lower the specific cost per unit of weight. Fixed costs include administrative costs associated with processing transportation orders, expenses for idleness in the vehicle, underload, unload cost for processing payment documents, and operational costs. So different types of each spending. Their costs are considered constant because their size doesn't depend on the size of the shipment. In other words, organization the transportation of 1 ton of cargo costs the same as organization the transportation of 1,000 tons of cargo. It is means not all process of transportation. It is preparing operations, preparing documents, preparing some organization moments and other about it. And if the administrative costs for one shipment are near, for example, 100 hryvnias, it is this example only, then when transporting 1 ton, the specific cost will be 100 hryvnias per ton. And when transporting 50 tons, 2 hryvnias per ton. Thus, when transporting thousands of tons of cargo, there are economies of scale. So we need to think about each how much money we spent on 1 tons for preparing documents, for some delivery process, and for other, and think which we could spend for each. Saving due to the distance of the road is due to the fact that the longer the road, the lower the transport cost per unit of distance. For example, transportation of one cargo over a distance of 800 kilometers will cost less than transportation of two cargoes of the same total weight over a distance of 400 kilometers. Saving due to the distance of the road arise due to the same reasons as saving due to the scale of transportation. So we need to think about how we could deliver it is as will be two delivery or maybe we could connect them in one delivery in the part of the road and it will be cheaper. So we need to think about every options and calculate it and find what is better in our situation. Their principles are important to consider when evaluating alternative transportation strategy or operational principles. One should strive for the maximum loading of vehicles and the maximum length of cargo transportation routes. But of course, with the mandatory satisfaction of all service expectations of customers. So we need to discuss always it with own of cargo and now all information about all process. So parties involved in transportation. OSRO 5 parties are involved in transportation operations. Some of them is we know already, and we could ask now, but some maybe you don't think about it. So it is center of cargo. It is primary party. It is the consignor, the party to whom the cargo is destined on the considerer, a custom mission agent between the considerer and the final customer. It is carrier. It is the state or government organizations of this country. It is the main structure. And it is people of this country also as a member of delivery process. Yes, in all delivery system, we think about it because all delivery system works for people, works for organizations and other structure. So, consignor and consignees. The consignor and consignee have a common goal to move the cargo from the place of departure to the place of destination by the specific time and with the lowest cost. Of course, it is the main principles of logistics. The conditions of the transportation agreement include specific terms of cargo loading and delivery, specified transportation time, absence of cargo loss and damage, as well as accurate and timely executing of payment documents and exchange of information. So, if we think about such members as carriers, so the intermediately carriers has slightly different characteristics. It is interested in maximizing his revenue from the deal with lowest operation cost. It follows from this that the carrier strives to set the highest accepted price for the shipper of consider for each service and to minimize the cost of labor, fuel and operation of vehicles necessary for movement the cargo. They achieve the desired results. The carriage needs sufficient flexibility in choosing the time of loading and delivery, which allows to achieve economic loading of vehicles. So, state or government system. The state needs a stable and efficient transport system that allows maintains economic growth. The transportation industry serves the economically delivery products to markets across the country. Serbia ensures availability of goods of consumers at reasonable principles. The experience of the Soviet Union units, its collapse, we will illustrated the determinal impact of society of an inadequate transport system and the inability of this type of economy to deliver it to the markets, even those products that somehow meant to be produced. So it is very important when state systems as the member, but not have very big law and very big depending from statement for other type of industry. So it is very important. In many countries of the world, the state interferes the works of transport to a greater extent than in other sectors of economy. Such invention may take the form of regulation, support of ownership. Regulation consists in the fact that the government restricts the access of carriers to certain markets or deals with relation of transport tariffs. Public transport support policies are manifest in the fact that the government helps the industry in research and development, allocated land for transport highways, or maintains the air transport control system. In addition, is in a number of countries, for example, in Great Britain and Germany, for example, same transport companies are owned by the state, which strictly controls their market set of service and tariffs. And there are a last member of delivery systems. It is people, the last party of transportation deals as the public. We could say people, public, for example, is primarily interested in the availability of transportation, its cost and efficiency, as well as issue of saving and environmental impact. So it is really sad. And we could discuss about transport infrastructure and discuss what it means, for example, for us. And if we think about infrastructure, it is not about type of transport, it is about infrastructure, everything other. So it is about roads, it is about special buildings, special electricity systems, special signal systems, and other. So, transport infrastructure consists of transport highways, means of transport, and transport companies that service either their own division privately or external customers on a contractual basis. Analysis of the main indicators of the transport system of Ukraine. The transport system is a complex of various types of transport. The transport system usually includes general use types of transport, for example, railway transport, road or car transport, river, sea, or water transport. We could ask about it, air, pipeline transport, and some other, for example, sometimes we could use some specific types of transport in some territory and other system. Elements of the transport system are also considered urban and industrial. Departmental transport, which carries out transportation only for its own department and is not obligated to fulfill the requirements of other customers. Industrial transport includes the same type of public transport as well as conveyor cable and same others. So it is a really interesting system of different type of transport in different countries because it is special abilities and other interesting moment. We could discuss it later and think about it. We have a question on the next of our next part of our lecture, and I propose you to formulate the benefits and few modes of transport that you know, and we could ask now about different types of transport, and we could think about which benefits of every types of transport and how we could use it and recommend to use it in different systems. So it is our information for today was about our lecture materials. I saved it records in my YouTube channel. You could find it and in Instagram, so you could find it later. I stopped my sharing screen and stopped